Okay, so coming back to our project from which we started a couple of weeks ago, we drew our backdrop, which seemed to be like as if it was in space, and we had a few random dots around, which were the stars. We created our sun, which was to rotate constantly at a very slow pace. I also had this additional creature. In my case, it was Nano with a space bubble around his head, and he was slowly sort of rotating and reducing in size. So it seemed as if he was floating away from us. And I've also got my rocket, which is flying towards the sun and should have also been reducing in size as he was moving there. So that's what we've got so far. We're going to be adding a few more things to this today. The first thing I'm going to be adding is an asteroid or a rock of some sort. So let's go ahead and choose a sprite. We can see if we have anything in there that we wish to use. Now, we may not find anything, but what this asteroid will be doing is literally floating. Oh, we've got an Earth there as well, so we can incorporate that. Does it have any other? No, so we may incorporate the Earth there later on as well. Let's look. Do we have anything like an asteroid? Oh, we've got another planet, planet two. So we've got a couple of planets we can incorporate. We've got the star, we've got the sun. I was looking for a huge piece of rock or stone or something along those lines to basically bounce across the edge. There we go. We've got some rocks there. Okay, so I've got my rocks, and what I'm going to do is simply get my rock to to point towards something, and then once it's going to be moving around, once it hits the edge, it's going to simply bounce off the edge. So the first thing we need to think about is when do I want this to start? That's going to be as soon as the animation is started. So let's head over to events when my green flag is clicked. We can get it to point towards something, so we can get it to point towards. So let's head over to motion. Now we've already used the point in direction. We're going to be using the point towards, and we can get it to point towards something else. I'll get it to point towards nano, which is towards the middle. However, you can get it to point towards anything you wish. And then I'm going to get it to move constantly. However, if it's on the edge, it will bounce, which we have here. Obviously, I would want this to happen all the time. So these move 10 steps and if on edge bounce. So I'm going to put that inside a forever loop. Okay. So remember the loop, the meaning of a loop is something where the end is connected to the beginning. Another word for this could be iteration. Now that would happen all the time. So let's do that. Okay, a little bit too fast. So let's slow that down. Okay, so that is much slower. Okay, if you wanted to play with the size as well, you could do. That is up to you. And obviously, if you play with the size, it will make it look as if that it is getting smaller as well. Okay, so if you're not sure how to do the size, you can take a look at Nano and the rocket ship, and that will explain how to do the size. So you can go ahead and code that, pause me, and then you can come back and watch me again shortly. Okay, so the next thing we can add, the way we saw the stars there earlier on, the stars as well as the planets, we may decide to go ahead and include some of those as well. So let's choose a sprite again. Let's head down to Earth. Now, I think one thing that would be really cool in this case is should we put the Earth? We don't want to put it right in the middle. Okay, and we can change the size of the Earth using the size option here. So let's try 70, and that's a good size for the Earth. Okay, And what we can do with the Earth is just constantly get it to rotate really slowly. So let's grab the events. When my green flag is clicked, all I want it to do is repeatedly forever. Let's just get it to rotate. So turn 15 degrees. Let's a lot slower. Start that. Okay, and it's just constantly rotating. It is still a little bit too fast. Let's try 0.03. Okay, and that is rotating a lot slower. So now we've got quite a lot of stuff going on in our program, in our animation. So let's add a couple more things. You may want to add more planets. So you can go down to choose a sprite. We did have the planet over here, which we could use. You can, if you wanted to, add loads of planets and possibly even create the whole solar system if you wished, possibly looking at the proportions or the sizes of the different planets and incorporating them so that they're the correct size, the correct color, possibly the correct distance away from the sun. That would be quite cool. So you can add further planets if you wish. I'm going to go down and add the star. Okay, and all I want this star to do is to shrink and grow constantly. So I'm going to head down to when do I want it to actually happen? When my green flag is clicked. And I will say forever. I want it to get bigger, get smaller, get bigger, get smaller. So I'm going to put inside of that. Let's go to looks. Do you know what? Let's first set the size to 100 before the forever, and then it will change size. Change size by 2, change size by -2. Let's see how that looks. Okay, now we can't really see anything going on. The reason being is because it's happening so fast, okay, faster than my hand is doing at the moment, that we cannot even notice anything changing. So what we're going to do is, now what we can do is I can duplicate this many times. Whoops, not add comment, duplicate. Okay, and I can get it to do this many times, and then I can do the same again here. Okay, so I've got it getting bigger 8 times and getting smaller 8 times. Oops, let's start that again. Okay, again, it is very difficult for me to see anything. So what I'm going to do is, and ideally what we should be doing instead of duplicating that so many times, is we will actually use the repeat loop. So repeat 10 times. Let's get it to change by 2. Let's duplicate that by -2, and let's see how that looks now. Okay, so as you can see, that is flashing. You may wish to mess around with the numbers a little bit. So if I was to do 20, okay, let's start that again. Okay, so it's increasing and decreasing a little bit more. I may decide to change that to 1 and -1, and I may decide to do that 40 times. 40 times, so it's still happening total of 40, but it will be doing that a lot slower than we did have before. Okay, if you wished, you can also get that. Do not, let's get rid of that block. We can also get that to rotate slowly as well, so it's actually rotating in thin air. Remember, we can do that as a different block. So once this green flag is clicked, let's use the forever loop. And let's just get this to rotate. So turn again 1 degree. Okay, so that is constantly rotating as well. Again, you might want to reduce that 0.01. Okay, so that's very minimal with its rotation, but it is rotating. You may want that a little bit faster. That is up to you. We're going to add one more. We've got loads going on here. Let's add one more sprite. Now this one we're going to paint ourselves. Okay, this was actually an idea from another student. I'm going to actually keep this sprite transparent. I'm going to simply draw a few dots. So these are going to be more stars. I'm going to use a color picker because I want this to be the same color as the stars I have everywhere else. Now, unfortunately, it does not let me grab my color picker from the actual game. So what I am going to do is I'm going to try it another way. Let's go to my backdrops. Let's get my color picker from here. Okay. Then my new sprite, and there we go. Let's draw a few more dots around. Okay, I've got my extra dots there now. And now I'm going to simply code this to constantly rotate again as soon as my green flag is clicked. How am I going to do that? Again, I'm pretty sure you'll remember this by now. When my green flag is clicked, forever. And let's use the turn, 15 degrees. Okay, again, too fast. So let's make that a lot smaller, 0.4. And you may wish to slow that down a bit as well. Okay, so all those things added, you may wish to add more planets. You may wish to add more stars of the growing and shrinking stars or rotating stars, possibly rotating the other direction. It's up to you exactly how you wanted to do that. Okay, so now what we have is a great animation. Let's see that full screen. Okay, something cool that you can post and show the rest of your family. Okay, feel free to add more bits to it. Feel free to do as you wish. Let your imagination go wild. You can play around with more examples, more animations, more games, more projects over the half-term break as well. Feel free to post using the post we've got in Google Classroom. If you wish to share that with anyone, feel free to pop me a message if you need any help with anything as well.